Hey everyone, I'm Vibhu Norby and I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Beta. This is a brand new show that we're going to bring to you at least once a week on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays as well, where it will be myself or another startup founder having a casual and deep conversation with another founder about building their business, their journey to get here today, and what their ambitions are for the future. And I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to Michelle, the founder of The Bomb, or the Black-Owned Market. Michelle started the company in 2016, and she's been growing the business out of Boston and occasionally New York City as well. And we've been partnered with her for the last couple of months at Beta, and I'm really, really excited to have her share her story today. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Vibhu. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be the first guest.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about the origin story. So you and I share something in common, which is that both of us like to start our next company when we're working for somebody else. So in 2016, tell us where you were working and what inspired the idea.
Yeah, so in 2016, I had been working at Viacom, MTV at the time, and I was actually in the middle of a career transition. So I was looking for a new job, and it was on the tail end of me leaving MTV Viacom to going to a new company called Influencer. It was a startup. It is a startup, has now been acquired by a company called Bazaar Voice as a digital marketing manager. So in 2016, I was very much so into the idea of owning my own time and also creating a business that served my community. But I just didn't know exactly how to do that. So the bomb was in the beginning stages. And at first I thought, okay, my parents have this business back in Boston. Maybe I'll go back home for a little bit and help them redo their store and really house like Black-owned hair products because it's a beauty supply store. But then it evolved over time into what it is now.
Mm-hmm. What did your parents think about the idea?
They didn't really get it. My parents are immigrants. I'm first generation Haitian. So they honestly didn't know what I was building. And I think still they get it now, but even like in the beginning, they were just like, okay, she's starting a business. Like we hope it's successful. But I think if for a lot of immigrant parents, they don't really have time for things to like grow and fail and for it to come to full fruition, because like, you know, they're about like results immediately. Sure. And the bomb didn't necessarily have those I guess tangible results early on. So they just didn't get it until much later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they owned a beauty business or a salon?
Yeah, they own a beauty supply store, and they've owned that beauty supply store and I are the same age. So it started in 1988, and it's still in the same spot. It's family owned, mom and pop like business.
Gotcha. So, did you work in the business growing up?
I did.
Nice.
I did when I was more so in like high school when nobody else would hire me.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So eventually, Viacom or Bazaar Voice moved you on, and you went full time on this. What were the early days like for you? Were they as you expected? Were they hard? Were they easy? What was the most challenging thing?
Early on, I was really excited to be on my own because I was, as a result of being laid off from my job at the time, I don't know, when people lose their job, I think they're just also like very scared and unsure of the future. Whereas I was just really excited because all I wanted was my time, and I negotiated a really good severance. I don't think I factored in that you really need your business needs to like actually be making money for you to be able to still survive in New York. City.
Right.
So I was able from 27 to 2018 when I was laid off. I was able to sustain for a good amount of time. I had my office and WeWork, but then eventually it became time where I couldn't. I was using my corporate job to fund a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do for the bomb to get it off the ground. And
Mm-hmm.
after a while, it just wasn't picking up in the way that I expected, as quickly as I expected. So I had to kind of restructure what I did. And one of those things was leaving New York City after 8 years, living there for 8 years, which was hard, and moving back home to bootstrap the business. And I really wanted to, rather than going back and getting another corporate job, I really wanted to focus on the business. So now we're into like 2018. I've thrown about 2 to 3 markets. And for those that don't know, the Bomb is a curated marketplace that makes it convenient for people to buy from Black owned brands. And we started off renting out these loft like spaces. And I worked with my designer who like helped me bring the space to life, from a white box to a very experiential event. So we'd invite 15 to 20 business owners. They'd have their own station. We'd work with them to really design their station according to their needs. And we just had a really fun atmosphere. I think people thought of it as like a very family friendly, network fun type of like barbecue vibe because everyone felt like they knew each other.
Right.
We had open bar, we had fast food, like activations going on. And as the bomb began to grow, we had some pretty great sponsors that would sponsor the event too. So it helped with a lot of the expenses early on. But when I moved back home, the focus was to launch online, and I launched our e-commerce in 2019. And I also did a small test run of about 5 weeks in a store where I wanted to create like a Target Walmart, if you will, for Black owned businesses. That's the idea.
Yep.
And it did really well. So this was right before the pandemic hit, the last holiday season. And in the 5 weeks, I don't even know how much, our sales just went bonkers. And we were only on like the second floor of like a very small, like 200 square foot shop. And just people in the Boston area were just so happy that this existed.
Yeah.
And it gave me,
That's
it gave
amazing.
me, yeah, it just gave me the confidence to continue growing the business in the way that I had envisioned.
So, who were the customers
Hmm.
that were shopping with you? Where do they come
Yeah.
from? What background?
Hmm.
Why were they buying?
So in 2016, the concept of the Black owned market was very foreign to people. They didn't understand why it needed to exist and why do you just need a marketplace that highlights Black owned brands? But the concept of buying Black was just something that I hadn't seen in my neighborhood and living in Brooklyn. There were so many Black business owners, but only those people in that, I don't know, 2 to 5 mile radius or walking distance
Mhm.
could actually patronize these businesses. And I thought they were so great that, more people should know about them. So I really wanted to create a space where people can shop exclusively with Black owned brands, especially after reading that Black people have the highest buying power amongst any demographic, which is about 1.2 million or trillion. But only 2 cents was going back into Black owned businesses. And my thought was like, if I can solve that problem, it would help Black owned businesses overall and further the chain of, creating wealth within our communities. So I first, when I first put it up on Facebook as an event, and at that time the algorithm on Facebook wasn't as messed up as it is now, where like if you saw your friend was, going to an event,
Right.
like
It showed up in your
everyone would
feed.
see it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. So we had about like 3,000 people wanting to come to the
Wow.
event. I think only once they found out it was like a paid event, only like 300 people ended up showing up, which was awesome
Yep.
still. And thought process in those early days was like, I'm hoping that people don't think it's only Black people can shop here.
Hmm.
But to my surprise, when we opened the doors to that first event on December 11th, 2016, the first people through the doors was like a white woman and like an Asian man. So I'm like, all right, we get it. They get it. I think the people that get it, get it. So majority of our shoppers are African Americans, Black people. We have a lot of just like white millennials, I would say between the ages of 25 to 34. We have a small population of Asian, Hispanic as well. So I'll just say everyone, to be honest. But I was very surprised at the mix of people, which showed me a lot of what transpired today as of 2020, summer of 2020 with the uprising. It showed me before that happened that people were open to this concept of like, okay, let's all join together in allyship to invest in Black-owned brands.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys also had, you were featured in a New York Times piece in December of 2019 as well. I mean, what was in your mind, when was the moment that you knew this was going to work and it was going to be something that you could, survive off of?
When was the moment? I would say the second bomb market, because that was our most heavily trafficked event. We had it right in the middle of Times Square. It was at a beautiful WeWork space because I had affiliation with them at the time. They rented it out to us at a severely discounted price. And we had a beautiful outdoor deck patio overlooking Times Square. And it was just we brought in an architect at that time, and he had spent years doing the Saks Fifth Avenue's windows, but he just wanted to sign on because he thought the bomb was an amazing mission, and he just thought what we were doing was so great. And I got really lucky with the people that just chose to work with the bomb and that I had come across, because these are great people that had great positions at corporate jobs where it was just like, all right, we want to see a different kind of retail space exist in the world.
Yeah.
So I'll say that summer 2017, I had it in August 2017, that bomb showed me that this wasn't just a one-hit wonder type of thing. It wasn't like I didn't experience the sophomore slump, as they say, when it comes to music. It showed that people really wanted this to exist and to stay, and that it can evolve into so many other things, not just the marketplace, but how do you think about it in terms of something that exists all the time,
Right.
And that's when my wheel started turning.
Right. The thing that impressed me the most, and I wrote about this when I featured you guys in our top 10 brands of 2020.
I didn't see it.
I'll forward it to you. The email I wrote. I think we were impressed that your focus was not just about bringing attention to Black-owned brands, but also you had an extreme dedication to finding some of the very best products in each category, and that to me felt made it really accessible to a wider audience, and something that we thought would work really well in beta. And I remember I read somewhere that in the initial, when you had first started the company, you reached out to 60 brands, and only 16 of them had said yes.
12.
12? Okay.
Yeah.
20%. Has that changed? Is it easier for you to get people to work with you, and how do you go about finding and curating these companies?
It's changed significantly. It changed literally right after the first market. There was so much buzz around our first market and what has been created in Brooklyn, and this concept of just buying from Black-owned brands, that those people that said no were like, oh my gosh, I had no idea what you were doing. Like, can we be? It's not so much of an issue of getting people on board, because they see through pictures or like the community in which we work with. I'll get introduced through it or to them by like a founder that has been featured in the bomb before. So they all know each other, and the bomb I think has become a highlight in the community of like, if you're chosen to be a part of this, it's a blessing because this is a network you want to be a part of. My vendors constantly and business owners constantly tell me, they're like, whenever I get an email from the bomb, like I'm doing it because it's it's become known for like giving businesses, especially Black businesses, a return on their investment, more so than any other marketplace that they've been a part of. So I wear that with a badge of honor. And I think it's due to the time that I take to curate these brands and really think about it. Because more than anything, more than being a founder for the bomb, I'm a consumer as well.
Yep.
So I think about what I would want to see and what would make me, especially in the times of a pandemic, it's like what would make me want to leave my house and actually go shop at a place. And I think that's going to be, especially when things are going back to normal, that's going to be even more so the case now. I think we're all going to want to break out of our homes and like do whatever we're invited to. But it makes me think about, okay, like when doors are officially open, what is going to make the consumer want to come to your business and not, or continue coming to your business? And that's kind of the approach that I take to curating and putting products and brands together.
So you guys have a couple different ways that you do business today. You have pop-ups, which you're most well known for. You have a kind of more typical e-commerce business where you're fulfilling. I'm not sure you're still doing that, but you're fulfilling orders for products that people can buy as normal. Then you have a subscription box as well. Maybe if you don't mind describing maybe what percentage of your time is dedicated to each part of the business and maybe other channels that you're thinking about?
Yeah, so I'll say majority of my time is spent on the e-commerce business right now. We're in the process of a web redesign. So just figuring out, what I want that to look like and how it will be an upgrade from my current website. The subscription model has become very quickly one of the number one reason people come to the website and keep coming back. It has been wonderful for our repeat customer and return customer rate. I think it's up to like 55% now. What I'm working on now is making sure that the products that people have liked, like I took a survey from our customers that are subscribers, and seeing what they liked so that we can put that on the website so they can come back and actually purchase those products that they liked. So that's kind of our way of bringing in testing out new products and new businesses before they actually launch on the website. Because, if people didn't really care for it or didn't like it, there's no point of carrying it.
Yeah.
So I'll say that's about 50%. Yeah. 25% definitely goes to like the pop-up market. I think our pop-up at Beta is the only one that we have going right now. But because of that success, I look forward to doing it for other brands. And possibly, like, this is something that I've always wanted to do. We were hired before by a company called Blavity. And they're more of a media company that holds like conferences. And we were hired by them to do like a 2-day kind of store activation, and it went extremely well. In addition to the beta pop-up. So I want to do more and partner with more brands in that way, because I think that just boosts our customer base and lets people know what we're doing and who we are, and gets us in just new places and new avenues that we never thought of. And the last 25%, I would say, is more so like admin stuff and like trying to get new business and trying to ideate and think about how I want this business and where I want this business to go in the future.
Yeah. A lot of, well, not a lot, but definitely a couple of the largest retailers, like Macy's, I believe, like Sephora, have taken a shelf space pledge to have at least 15% of their assortment originating from Black-owned businesses.
Hmm.
How important is that, and how do you think retailers should go about it, and is that something that you're getting involved with?
Yeah, so I think 15% was started. The 15% pledge was started by a woman by the name, I believe, of Aurora James, and she's doing extremely great work. And that started as a result of what happened this summer with the murder of George Floyd. I think it's an amazing initiative, and a lot of brands have seemingly signed on. I think prior to even the 15% pledge, I was talking to people like, or I should say, corporate businesses and machines like Target and Walmart, because they always reach out to me and they're trying to figure out, oh, how do we work with you? It's usually to like sponsor a bomb or a pop-up market. And I'm like, I want to think bigger than that. So I always pitch them the idea of, oh, let me activate within your space. I think a great example of that is what Target and Ulta are doing right now. So I say that to say it's definitely a great initiative and something that I would love to take part in. And I think a lot of corporations are seeing the importance of it. I think Forum and Beta, you guys definitely, in my opinion, did a great job with like not just putting a bunch of Black-owned brands on your shelves, but like figuring out who can I work with to really make sure to tell the story in a good and accurate way. And I think that's probably what corporations are missing, because you can definitely easily put Black-owned brands on your shelf, but if you're a huge retailer, putting those Black-owned brands on your shelf without proper like mentorship or education is very quickly going
And
to be
financial
detrimental to that
tools as well.
financial backing, right? It's going to quickly be of that Black-owned company's detriment. So I think in addition to putting people and Black businesses on your shelf, it's an educational piece and it's a financial piece that needs to come with it. So
Yeah.
there's a few different keys in place.
So let's dive in a bit more on the financial piece.
Hmm.
Tell me about your fundraising journey and what it's been like to try to raise money for a company like this.
It's been very hard. I'll say right after the success of our pop-up market last year, or 2019, 2020, it was something that I was really excited to do, and I kind of jumped right into it and had some really good prospects. But then the pandemic hit, and everyone was like, not really interested anymore, especially because retail, as you know, is like the hardest hit sector. So I took a pause, and then after the summer and the uprising and the different protests, I was like, okay, maybe people understand what I've been trying to do. And I think it worked, yes and no. Like it's still just very hard to get people to understand why I exist. I think it's easier when I have a product to show them and I show them what I do, or like
Right.
I'll show them past videos and show them past pictures and they get to experience it if they come to like an activation. But if I'm speaking to them or if it's in a deck, it's really hard to explain to people, especially VCs, why this needs to exist because they're looking on their return. And I think for a lot of people, they look at BOM as like a mission driven
Right.
business, which it is, but a lot of the negative tropes with mission driven businesses is that it's like a charity,
Right.
and we're definitely a for profit business. And I think, I don't know, I just think when the right investor comes along, if that's the route that we still decide to go, it will be the best decision they ever made, in
Yeah.
my opinion. But that person hasn't come along yet. But in the meantime, I'm hoping to just try to secure really large, lucrative contracts for the bomb so that maybe I won't have to raise money, and just
Yep.
reinvest it in the company and build it that way.
Well, that's definitely the best way to raise money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, some of the things that you and I have chatted about uh, in terms of the pitch, I think we've discussed definitely digging in on the pledge and trying to help some of these larger companies figure this out, since it's seemingly difficult to do on their own.
Right.
I think definitely like revenue is always the not only does it insulate you from having to raise money, but also this is what everyone wants to see, especially extreme growth, and
Right.
but it's I think I mean when you had tried to raise money the first time, did you feel like there was a lack of understanding about how the business was going to be built, or was it a? I mean, was there ever a moment where you felt like there just wasn't enough of the right type of investor out there for the business? I mean, what do you think is? What do you think happened in that first round?
A lot of people, the feedback that I would get is people would say, this is a great business and I think it should exist,
Yeah.
but not necessarily investing in it. And I've spoken to Black VCs, like, people that you think would definitely be a shoo-in. So I think it's just one of those things where people, in theory, think it should exist. They don't necessarily want to invest in it.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm still trying to figure out what the issue is. Even like we're making revenue like month over month. It's not significant, it's not huge, but we're making revenue.
Yeah, I know a bit about it, and definitely the business is much larger than I think most people would expect. And growing, and is growing fast, even in a difficult time like last year for our industry. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think maybe, it just comes to just the right investor.
Yeah. So tell me about your day. What do you, I know that you also, because I follow you on Twitter, that you also take care of yourself, and I mean, tell me about your day. How do you kind of stay ready and stay focused?
Yeah, so my typical day, and actually it's a recent thing for me, because I'm reading this book about just optimal wellness called Sacred Women. So I try to wake up between the hours of like 4 and 6 a.m. So waking up,
What time did you wake
doing
up
like
today?
I actually did not wake up at that time. I woke up at like 7 a.m. But I'm trying to do like a 21-day challenge to see if I can make waking up like super early in the morning a part of my thing. And I think the pandemic makes it harder because I would wake up naturally pretty early if I had to like, I don't know, if the world was actually normal. But right now I'm just like, I have more time in my day. Like I could work around the clock, which is probably not healthy, but that's what I do. So I wake up typically on like outside of this book, between the hours of like 7:30 ish. I start with like a prayer and meditation. 3 days a week, it's usually some yoga and stretching. And then I pretty much start my day with like answering any emails, checking on what happened with our e-commerce business. And if of course, there's always some type of meeting that pops up. So taking meetings during the day. Most of my time is like working from home. So I don't really leave outside of like hanging out with family. And of course, like, I'll always participate in like pop culture things that are going on right now just to keep myself sane. And yeah, just checking up with like friends and family. So my life is really, it's not very active right now. But like pre-pandemic, it was super active because I was going back and forth to New York City, figuring things out. I was oftentimes on in-person panel discussions and things of that nature. That will still happen, but it's from the comfort of my home.
Yep. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up in a sec. Last last two questions. I mean, what does success look like for you? And tell me about the most ambitious goal you have for the business.
Success looks like, what does success look like to me? I would say success would look like having a physical bomb that is not temporary. So that is a goal that I would love to make mine, and the bomb being able to make significant revenue to hire my team and the people that I know can take it to the next level. My long-term vision sorry, what was the second question?
What's the most ambitious goal you have for the business?
The most ambitious goal. It very much looks like my current goals, which is like having the bomb in multiple cities and being like a go-to place that like rivals some of the big retailers. But we are doing it for Black-owned brands and businesses, and because of the success and what we're doing, we're actually able to invest back into the brands and businesses on our shelves, so that they can in turn like create really amazing products and grow their products in a way that is within their highest dream and highest ambition. And we just have super strong Black businesses out there.
Love it.
But yeah.
That's a perfect way to wrap this up. Michelle, thank you so much for your time. And
thank you, Boo.
There's a timer. And look forward to continue working with you for the next couple
Yeah,
years.
likewise. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. And have a great day.